Hi, and welcome to the September 2021 monthly meeting of the Boston Citizens Climate Lobby. Tonight, we're very pleased to have Reverend Vernon Walker from the Communities Responding to Extreme Weather, or CREW. So Reverend Walker is the Senior Program Manager at CREW, and CREW is a network of local leaders building grassroots climate resilience through inclusive and hands-on education, service, and planning. He'll be speaking with us about the work CREW is doing to equip families and communities with the resources and capacity to prepare for and respond to local climate change equitably, sustainably, and collaboratively. So Reverend Walker, we're very excited to have you here tonight. We're very interested in, educating ourselves about social justice, environmental justice, and what other groups are doing in Massachusetts to prepare for climate change. So the floor is yours. Welcome to the Citizens Climate Lobby.
Good evening, and thank you so much for that warm, gracious introduction, Gary. Glad to be with you all today. We have one of our interns joining us, Allie. She's an intern from Tufts, and she is joining us all the way from where she's joining us. And glad to have her with us. So we're going to delve into a PowerPoint here. We will keep it brief and short and engaging, and then we can talk a little bit about maybe what some other groups are doing here in the state. But let us begin. And sharing my screen here. I think you all should be able to see this here. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank you all and others who may view this, and nationally the CCL organization that's doing a lot to bring attention to carbon pricing and recognizing the harms that fossil fuel companies are causing by the use of spreading more fossil fuels, gas, and coal. And certainly we need them to understand that this has a human price to it. And humans suffer when we were extracting more fossil fuels, coal, and gas, and using more greenhouse gases. So kudos to you all for that work. On the flip side, we know that climate change has been happening for the last several decades, longer than the last several decades actually, since the Industrial Revolution. And we know that because of such, we are going to continue to experience extreme weather like the likes of which we've never seen before. We don't have to look back too far to see the weather pattern that we have been experiencing, the extreme weather events that we've experienced. And Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Sandy back in 2012. We see Hurricane Katrina that hit New Orleans. We see extensive heat waves that have hit the Boston area. So these are a result of climate change. And even in the best case scenario, if the world were to stop polluting today, we still be dealing with several decades of extreme weather. So that's where an organization like CREW comes into play. And that's where I see our relevance in the lane in which we operate. Certainly, we know that there are several different lanes in the climate justice movement. There's the mitigation approach, and then there's the adaptation approach. And then some organizations combine both. CREW is a part of the Better Future Project, and this is an organization that combines both. Let me delve into what the Better Future Project is for those who don't know. The Better Future Project is an organization that works to build a powerful grassroots movement to address the climate crisis and advance a rapid and responsible transition beyond coal, oil, and gas towards a renewable energy future for all. Some of the memberships and some of those who may be watching may be familiar with 350 Mass, which has a relationship with 350.org, but two different organizations. Then we have Divest Education, which is a program that focuses on working with college students and professors to put pressure on administrations to divest pensions and divest from fossil investments from fossil fuel companies. And then we have CREW, for which we are here to dialogue, converse, and chat about. And essentially, CREW is a young grassroots organization / program that aims to build equitable, inclusive neighborhood climate resilience in New England through hands-on education, service, and planning. Just to provide an example of each, we do a lot of workshops similar to what we'll delve into tonight. Really just educating and enlightening and elucidating for people how heat waves, floods, hurricanes, etc., is connected to climate change. We have worked with many organizations across the country and here and throughout the state of Massachusetts, and we continue to find ways to build bridges and tear down walls. We know that climate change has been very politicized. For us, we focus on preparation. I mentioned earlier, adaptation. What I didn't mention earlier, and I mentioned that there's some organizations that do both, is imagine you're walking outside and it's raining. The mitigation approach suggests that you take a fan and you blow the rain back to the sky. Now that's very time consuming and that won't happen right away. That's the mitigation approach. The adaptation approach is in the same scenario. If you're going outside and it's raining and you have a meeting to get to, or you have someone to meet up with, or you got to get somewhere and you got people to see, things to do, and places to be, then you might put on a rain jacket, you might put on an umbrella, you might put on water-resistant boots because you got places to go and you got places and things to see and things to do. Well, this is called the adaptation approach. So this is adapting to what we see in front of us. And that's what CREW helps do. An example of service, we've been blessed to be able to give 101 air conditioning units to low-income residents in Boston this summer of 2021. And energy efficient AC units, because we know that heat waves are deadly, dangerous, and disastrous. And we know that having a fan in the house will not cool you down. In some instances, it can make the temperature around you 5 to 10 degrees hotter. But ACs have been proven to be effective to combat heat waves, particularly if you're able to stay inside, and also to combat heat exhaustion and heat stroke and planning. A lot of the service component and education component requires planning. So let's talk about weather fatalities. This is from the National Weather Service. So we see that, a 30-year average heat kills the most people per year, 138 people over the last 30 years, 1991 to 2020. But we also see flooding, lightning, tornadoes, hurricane, heat, winter, cold, wind, rip currents. They kill folks. Rip currents kill 60 people a year. For the last, that's a 10-year average. Hurricanes have killed 46 people per year during the last 30-year average in 1991. So we understand that when extreme weather happens, unfortunately, if people aren't prepared, they suffer. And we know that the climate crisis affects us all, but we know that there are communities that are disproportionately affected, low-income communities, Black and brown communities, urban communities, communities that are at the coast, at the coastal communities. Pardon me that you hear the ambulance running somewhere. So tornadoes, 30-year average, 1991 to 2020. 69 people died per year because of tornadoes. Even a 10-year average from 2011 to 2020, and 94 people have died per year. So we understand that when extreme weather happens, if we're not prepared, people will suffer. So what impacts of climate change can we expect to see here in New England? More heat. So between 1971 and 2000, the average hot days per year were 11, according to the chart right here. I don't even know if you all can see me moving my mouse. I'm not even sure. Thumbs up. Can people see me moving my mouse?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So we see here that there was, on average, 11 hot days of extreme weather. Then we see 2030. About 2030, well, 2015 to 2044, and this is baseline. We could see up to 31 degrees as we get closer to 2044. And this is assuming worst case scenario. We could see 31 degrees of temperature that's over 90 degrees. 31 days of temperature that's over 90 degrees. And then 2055 to 2084, in the worst case scenario, we can see over 60 days of extreme heat. And we know that there, for those who don't know, in the greater Boston area, there's only 90 days of summer. So we're talking about between 2055 and 2084, there may be at most 60 days or over most of the summer of 90-degree temperature. And that's the worst case scenario. Oh, that's a video there. So we see here, so that's one impact. So to name one, heat. And we talked about extensive heat, and we know that urban heat islands are dangerous. Tom won't allow me to go through the entirety of urban heat islands because I suspect that many folks probably know what urban heat islands are here, and maybe who might watch this video understand the implications of urban heat islands, but they're primarily in urban communities that has a lot of concrete and asphalt and buildings and little green space. And what happens is the heat gets trapped in the asphalt, and what happens is it can make the difference between trees, the difference in a neighborhood the neighborhood that has no trees and a neighborhood that has lots of trees. On an 80-degree temperature, that neighborhood that doesn't have lots of trees can feel like 90 up to 90 degrees, and that neighborhood that does have trees, that does have a lot of trees, could feel closer to 70 if it's an 80-degree day. So we know that trees cool down communities. That's why we need more urban forestry, and there are plenty of groups such as Speak for the Trees that Crew is working with, that has worked with in the past, and that has supported, that focus on urban forestry. So we're going to more rain. So the top 1%, of storms between 1958 and 2016 increased by 55%. So there was 55% more precipitation in the top 1% biggest storms. But because we understand that warm air holds more moisture, and because it holds more moisture, that's why we'll see stronger storms. That's why we'll see more hurricanes and more tornadoes and things like that, because as the planet is warming up and has warmed up, the warm air creates more moisture. And then that's why we see Hurricane Ida, Hurricane Harvey, or Storm Harvey that hit Houston a couple years ago, that caused a massive amount of flooding. And we understand, folks, that when it floods, people who are situated in communities that are low-lying or low-laying communities, they're most at risk. Folks who are coastal communities, they're most at risk. In fact, if we don't slow global warming to 1.5, keep it at the 1.5 degree Fahrenheit/Celsius, up to 10 million communities, 10 million residents in Massachusetts could be at risk of losing their home by 2030. So this is serious, folks. And the reality of it is that people don't ever plan to fail. Often they fail. People never often plan to fail. They just fail at planning. And again, we're just diagnosing the problem here. Then we show you what we do about it for the time that we have. Stormwater flooding. So this is in Cambridge. For those who aren't familiar, the Central T-stop and the Kendall T-stops are train stations on the public transit on the Red Line. And we see all this purple here. By 2070, this whole area, and parts of it is MIT over here, it's going to be a flood extensively. And this is all because of rain. And we know that flooding is dangerous. We saw the statistics earlier that flooding is one of the extreme weather events that kill people. In fact, let me come a little bit closer and not make you too mad. Hurricane Ida killed almost 70 people, I believe, if my number is correct, between Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. So this hurricane that we had a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people in New York drowned. I think maybe 15 or between 12 to 15 people, maybe more have been found, have drowned, were caught in their basement. They were living in their basement, dwelling in their basement, and got caught in the flood. So we understand that this is dangerous. Let me come back to Boston, for example. So you see this blue here, this represents flooding. And these are, from some of the strongest storms, those once in a decade storm. But those once in a decade storms are to become more and more frequent. And then when those stronger storms come, a lot of areas, particularly in Boston, become flooded or start flooding. So we see here, we see what we have: Charlestown and Boston Common. So we see here, we see more flooding. We see more areas that are highlighted in blue here. By 2050, the first map I showed you is about 2030. And then we see much more area, much more areas that suffer from flooding. So we realize and recognize that if we don't slow down the climate crisis, we are in a world of trouble. We know that climate change is the greatest existential threat to our human existence, but the projections show us why. Hurricanes, we'll start to see more Hurricane 3 and Hurricane 4 as the climate is changing, and also as the Western Hemisphere is getting warmer, we'll start to see more tick-borne illnesses. We'll see the mosquitoes that have traditionally been in places like India. And I've spent time in India several years ago. I spent some time in South India, and I've seen those mosquitoes, but thankfully I had DEET, and DEET is a mosquito repellent that mosquitoes don't like. So I spent time in India, and I've seen the poverty and things of that nature, and the mosquitoes that carry malaria. Well, I just seen the mosquitoes. I didn't see anyone get sick from malaria. But we know that tick-borne illnesses such as malaria, that vectors such as mosquitoes carry, they are coming to the west. They are coming to the Western Hemisphere because the planet is warming, and they love warm environment. So we understand that this is coming. Hurricane Sandy. Boston would have experienced as much more damage in 2012 than we originally did if it didn't hit us at high tide. If it hit us at high tide, that storm missed Boston by about 2 to 3 hours by the high tide. But if it would hit us at the high tide, there would have been much more massive amounts of flooding. And that's a video of the flooding. So there are some social and psychological impacts, and I'm almost done. Somebody asked the question, well, how long are you going to be? Or someone may have been thinking, well, how long are you going to be? I'm really glad you asked that. Well, we're going to be dead. We're going to be finished as soon as we're done. And then when we're done, that's when we'll be finished. But what are the social and psychological impacts of climate that we can expect to see? And we got a few more slides, and then we'll wrap this up, maybe some Q&A. Hurricane Katrina is a case study. Up to 54% of adults and 45% of children suffer depression after a natural disaster. 49% of Hurricane Katrina survivors develop anxiety or mood disorder. 1 in 6 develop post-traumatic stress disorder. Suicidal and suicidal ideation more than doubled. Outside of the United States, the suicide of 60,000 Indian farmers over the past 3 decades have been directly related to climate change. An increase of 5 degrees Celsius, 9 degrees Fahrenheit on any given day was linked to 335 deaths. The crumbling community effect. Climate change can affect the way we think about ourselves, each other, and the world. After a climate event resulting in displacement, people may experience a diminished sense of self, difficulty relating to others, diminished social interaction, and nostalgia. Nostalgia is a 50-cent word that means the loss of a sense of place, solace, and security tied to one's physical environment. Community impacts include domestic abuse, child abuse, and violence, i.e. assault and civil conflict, economical insecurity and physical damage or other potential effects. Cooperation. Establish social ties and connections with community members. This will help withstand changes and encourage adaptation. So the root of CREW, and the root that drives our ideological thinking is that social resilience is the best way to become climate resilient. What I didn't mention is that in Chicago in 1995, about 739 people died because of an extensive heat wave. You could Google it. It was atrocious. It was for 5 days. This heat wave killed a lot of folks. In 1993, the city I'm from, Philadelphia, 120 people died because of a heat wave in Philly. So we know, as we mentioned, that when extreme weather happens, people who suffer from social isolation, people who are socially isolated, people who don't have lots of relationships in the communities tend to suffer the most. The reason that 739 deaths in 1995 in Chicago was not 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 is because people, neighbors, were looking after neighbors. And because of that, you know, in the one video, there's one video on YouTube that talked about how this woman came to the rescue of her paraplegic neighbor. He was suffering from heat exhaustion, and thankfully she got to him in time. And if she didn't, you know, things could have been much worse, but he was like rushed to the hospital, given some IV fluids, things of that nature, for the dehydration, also for the heat dehydration. So yeah, so we believe that the best way to connect, the best way to ward off these impacts and not suffer is to be connected to your community. And that leads us to CREW, and we're almost done. So we have community teams. I talked about the social connectivity, and I talked about social resilience, and I talked about that for a reason. It's because at CREW, we believe, and what we've done is help people come together in their community. We have a team in Somerville. We're looking to continue to expand teams in other areas. Certainly COVID has made it more difficult for people to come together. However, this sledgehammer. So for the last couple of years, we've had this Somerville team, and they've done events such as depaving, climate socials, particularly before the pandemic. There is a depaving happening on the 18th of this month in Somerville. If folks who want more details, please let me know and I can follow up with you, or I can send the email. I can email someone details. I don't have it all at this moment, but normally depaving involves a process in which people go to people's houses and they depave, and, you know, with the permission of the homeowner. And oftentimes it's like driveways. There's an organization called Depave Somerville. They've been around longer than CREW. They've been around for about 11 years now. So Depave Somerville, Somerville, Massachusetts, they do a lot of depaving. And we so happen to have some of our members who are part of that group as well. And so we've helped to synergize. And essentially, people come out with sledgehammers, they come out with hard hats. It's really nominal to reach, to rent a dumpster. And we throw the payment in the dumpster and someone hauls it away, someone hauls off with it. So this is some of our depaving. So we encourage the creation of CREW teams. And for more information, please follow up with me. We have Resiliency Hub. We have 69 of these across the country, America, and we have one in Canada. And these are organizations that have a physical space, trusted community organizations that have a physical space, such as libraries, faith communities, community organizations, etc., that are interested in displaying. You see this decal here. So we normally send a decal that looks like this. And this is like level 1. You can go to our website, climatecrew.org. and you can go to Climate Hub to see the maps, and also you can see the different levels. Tom will not allow me to delineate each requirement at each level, but please go to our website, again, www.climatecrew.org, and find more information. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email. But talking about level 1, I will focus on level 1, because that's what essentially all our hubs are at now as level 1. So we see a display of Climate Resilient Hub window decal. So they put this decal right here on the window. Make emergency preparedness information. Make a climate emergency preparedness information available. We provide, PDFs on how to prepare for recognized heat stroke and prepare for heat wave, how to prepare for flooding, and we have book bags to show people how to make kits. We also have a heat preparedness kit for people who need to go out during a heat wave. We show them what it is. Matter of fact, give me 1 second. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to get one is behind me. So if you give me about 10 seconds, I'll be right back, and I'll actually show y'all what a kit is. So give me about 10 to 11 seconds, and I will be right back. I'll leave it on the slide, and we'll be back with you very, very shortly. All right.
Let's see the kit.
We are back from our commercial. Break. So we want to show you all a chill out kit, and we have given out about 60 of these this summer. And this is relief. You might not can see it, but it says relief for heat exhaustion. It has thermostats. It has cool patches. So there's 21 items in here, including 10 electrolyte tablets, 2 instant cold compressors, 2 instant cool patches. We have emergency waters in here. We have forehead thermometers. We have cohesive wraps. So we got a lot of things in this little pack. And this is in case you have to go out during a heat wave. Take this with you. Take it with you. And again, we do distribute. We have distribute these, and we do distribute these. So we'll go on to the next slide. So this is our climate prep week. This is from 2019, but we actually have one in 2020. And you can go to our website. In 2019, we did have 130 events, and we have, I think we have over 60 events happening this year. So that's essentially what we are. We'll do a Q&A here because I don't want to take too much time. So I'll stop right here. We also have bags that we give out for flooding, where we help people imagine a flood, having these documents. As a matter of fact, if you give me 5 seconds, I'll go get that bag and show you what to do and what and what we give out.
Yeah, so let's see that too.
Yeah, give me 5 to 6 seconds, and I'll be right back. All right, we are back from our commercial break. All right, so we have here. This is for flooding. So we showed y'all what we give out for heat. Now we're going to walk you through for flooding. So we give this. So we primarily give these out to our hubs, and we ask our hubs to display these here. So in this is a American First Aid Kit, American Red Cross First Aid Kit, a personal emergency kit. So we want people to imagine that if you get flooded in your house and the whole neighborhood is flooded, and we've seen this with Hurricane Ida and Hurricane Katrina, people stuck in their houses, it's flooded, and they can't get out. Then you want to have something to be able to help keep you stable for a while. So a first aid kit is important. This is a waterproof waterproof bag to hold essential documents. So what you might want to do is you want to do this beforehand, not when it's flooded. So this waterproof document is to protect your most vital documents. So we have We have a flashlight, waterproof flashlight. Again, this is for a situation. Oh, watch out! Oh, lights on, light off. You know, it's like clap on, clap off. And yes, it does work, as you can see. We have like a razor, a personal hygienic kit for males. We have one for females, and we have toothbrush. It's important to brush your teeth, and dental hygiene is important because especially if you're going to be stuck up on the roof for quite a few hours. We even have matches around here somewhere. Oh yeah, we have waterproof matches. And again, we send this to hubs, and we ask hubs to display this to their, put it in a prominent public place so that people can see, and they can make it themselves at home. So they can buy any kind of book bag. And we also have like, this is a 11-in-1 survival kit, 11-in-1. This serves as a, 11-in-1. This serves as a, this right here, this little contraption right here. It serves as a knife, can opener, a wing nut wrench, 1.5-inch saw, 2-position wrench, a lanyard holder, a spotted bit, a bottle opener, 1.5-inch ruler, a 4-position wrench, auxiliary compass. All right here, y'all. Right in this little thing. Oh, watch out now. It's sharp. So anyway, that concludes our remarks. We're going to stop sharing the screen right here. So that's just a little bit of how we help people. I don't know if we have any Q&As, but in terms of presentation, we're officially done with that. I'm going to turn it back over to the facilitator. Craig, who's that? That Craig? Or no, that's Matt. And
yeah,
I don't know, where do we go from here?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Reverend. Does anyone have any questions?
I just got a quick question. Thanks so much. I was wondering if you guys partnered with anybody for the depaving projects or depaving Somerville. If you had any, once it's depaved, if you guys partner with anyone for the planting.
Planning of turning into green space, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, so normally what happens, and thank you, Yannick, that's your name, Yannick?
Yannick, yeah.
Yannick. So yeah, what happens is, it's normally a person's driveway or their personal property, and we encourage them to like turn it into bricks or to turning it into like green space. So, carbon could be pulled out of the air, but it's totally up to them. So Crew does partner with Depave Somerville. But in terms of planning, we haven't partnered with anyone concerning that. Not at this point. But we do partner with Depave Somerville. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, and personally, how long have you been involved with Crew, and what got you involved?
I've been with Crew for over 2 years, almost maybe 2.5 years now. And originally what got me involved is I wanted to be able to work in the climate justice movement and find a program that would attract someone who might not want to be who might not be that familiar with climate justice, but who are interested in coming. And that we can get them, that we can engage with them, because we know that climate change can be politicized. And Crew, Crew is the introduction. I feel that Crew is one of the entry points to the climate justice movement, where when people come to our presentation, they hear about what we do, they hear how everything is connected to climate change in terms of extreme weather. We know that climate change is intersectional, but we know that racial justice is connected to climate change and so many other things, that they'll want to get involved. And they'll want to get involved with groups like CCL or 350 or the Sierra Club or other particular groups that are doing climate justice work in some form or fashion. Speak for the Trees, for an example. Mattapan Food and Fitness, they have a climate component that's based out of Mattapan. So I thought this was a good opportunity for me to merge skills of organizing, networking, and building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happened to be an open position at Crew.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you, if I'm hearing what you're saying, you think that Crew can help people get involved in climate justice more broadly, as like a first step to people who might not otherwise be thinking about climate change.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because we can go. We've done presentations for City Hall, for various City Hall. We've done presentations to Republicans, Democrats, and independents. We connected, so we're very intentional about wanting to reach everybody, lottie-dottie and everybody, black, white, and brown. Because we understand that we're going to need to do this together. That if we're going to drastically reduce carbon emission, governments need to act, and governments are often pushed by people on the ground to act. So we're going to need everybody, regardless of ethnic affiliation, racial identity. We need people who have people of goodwill, people of moral conscience to come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Environmental devastation is wrong, injustice is wrong. Having these power plants in their communities of color is wrong. Having substations in communities of color is wrong. Dumping toxin in the air, poison in our air, polluting our water, cutting down our trees is wrong. Shooting black and brown bodies is wrong. Dehumanizing people because of their sexuality is wrong. And I go on and on. But anyway, I'm going to stop right there. But so I think that it's a safe way to be able to bring folks to help people understand that the environmental movement is more than just talking about saving polar bears. They need to be saved too. And I like salmon, so and I'm, bears eat salmon and I like salmon. We fighting for the preservation of our species, coral reefs, etc. If you go to our website, you'll see Climate Prep Week 2021, and we're doing a host of central events. We're working with Chelsea Green Roofs. We're working with Mattapan Food and Fitness. So if you go to our website, climatecrew.org, and you go to Climate Prep Week 2021, you will see a host of organizations that we're working with. We're working with We're working with a marine biologist, David Hartman from Harvard. We're doing an event with him. We are doing an event with Speak for the Trees. We're in different places. We're doing a book talk. We're co-sponsoring a book talk with David Pogge on how to prepare for climate change. So we're working with and in conjunction with the Mass Library Association. So we are, we're in the season of connecting and
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're really glad that you were able to spend some time in connecting with us tonight. We're really happy to have learned more about Crew and met you, and happy to hear about Climate Prep Week, which we've already started to publicize internally to the CCL Boston, CCL Massachusetts chapters. So thank you very much for your time. We're going to go to our regular business meeting now. You're welcome to stay around if you're interested, but we understand if you have other things to do this evening. So